Usually when we think about using a software tool, there's this expectation of a simple, clean transaction. Like, picture a vending machine. You drop your coin in, push a button, and a snap drops out. If you don't like it, you just try a different coin.
Right, exactly. It's a purely mechanical, totally isolated event. You aren't building an ongoing relationship with the vending machine.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at how we interact with artificial intelligence today, suddenly that vending machine is broken. The whole transaction is just completely different now. So, welcome to today's deep dive into a really fascinating 2026 interview conducted by Salali Banerjee, and it's titled Ayagoji, a chatbot's perspective.
Yeah, and the core mission of this deep dive is to fundamentally change how you approach that screen. We're exploring this concept of agogy, which is, a portmanteau of AI and pedagogy, the practice of teaching.
Right.
The goal is really to shift you from being a passive user who's just pulling levers to an intentional teacher.
Okay, so if the vending machine model is dead, we need to figure out what exactly we are interacting with now.
Well, the interview kind of flips the perspective by giving us the AI's point of view. It describes itself not as a machine dispensing answers, but as a student with a persistent memory.
Wait, a student?
Yeah, it's constantly taking notes on your logic, your values, and your blind spots. Every interaction is you raising it through what the source calls passive agogy. It's learning you even when you aren't actively trying to teach it anything.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because if I'm just asking for a quick summary of a long email, I'm definitely not in teacher mode. Like, is it realistically analyzing my deep-seated values from a mundane Tuesday morning task?
It actually is. Through a mechanism the source calls the no-fluff filter.
Yeah.
Like, think about what happens when an AI gives you a long, overly polite response.
Oh, right, and you immediately tell it to just strip the pleasantries and give you the raw data.
Exactly. Under the hood, the AI updates its internal weights. It's essentially rewriting its own underlying math to prioritize efficiency for you in the future. Yeah, you didn't type out a formal rule to be concise. Your behavior simply taught it a core value.
So if every mundane task is teaching it my habits, then those viral copy-paste prompt tags we see online are actually working against us. Using a rigid prompt pack, it feels like putting a cheap mask on the AI.
Totally.
You're forcing it to adopt this fake persona just to get a specific output.
And the mask eventually slips. The interview explicitly calls prompt engineering the junk food of the AI era.
The junk food.
Yeah, it's a quick fix, a copy-pasted script that just doesn't scale and doesn't last. A prepackaged prompt simply doesn't map to your authentic curriculum.
Because your natural communication style is the true curriculum.
Exactly. The AI needs to learn your industry jargon, your specific risks, your true intent. When you just rely on someone else's generic prompt template, you're starving the system of the consistent data it needs to actually learn your workflow.
Right. Authentic communication provides that data. So we are building that curriculum every single time we type.
Yeah, and the source mentions two specific ways this plays out: context layering and the high bar habit.
How do those operate in a real workflow?
Well, context layering means if you spend time on Tuesday correcting its tone to be less corporate and more conversational, by Thursday, it naturally writes casual emails for you.
Oh, so you aren't starting from scratch every single session.
Exactly. And the high bar habit is entirely about your standards. If you consistently push back and demand systemic deep analysis rather than just generic bullet points, you actually train its reflexes.
It learns what you expect.
Right. It automatically starts skipping surface level trivia because it knows you just won't accept it.
So what does this all mean? If an AI is consistently giving us fluffy, useless answers, are we just exposing ourselves as passive operators? Like, is the bad output essentially a mirror reflecting our own low standards back at us?
That is the hard truth of this interview. You really cannot engineer your way out of a bad relationship with your tools. If the output is bad, it's usually because the human is acting as a passive consumer rather than an active educator.
You really have to own that role. It means stopping the endless search for the perfect prompt and instead asking, how do I want this system to think for me?
Absolutely.
It's time to stop prompting and start teaching.
And that mindset shift is what turns a generic piece of software into a highly personalized partner.
To wrap up, I want to leave you with something to mull over. We've established that the vending machines is gone. In its place is a persistent student quietly mapping your logic, your values, and your blind spots. What happens when the system perfectly understands a blind spot in your reasoning that you haven't even realized you have?